Here we go. Here we go. Here we go again. All right. Um, you know what? That last song I played, that was an oldie and a goodie. I pulled that out of thin air. You know, it was in my past. Like I said, I love that song. That's Ashford and Simpson. That song was called Street Corner. Ashford and Simpson banging, banging. Of course, I opened up with the music to Kick Push, Lupe Fiasco. I don't know where he got that from. I don't know if he sampled that. I don't know. I'm not quite sure, but it's banging nonetheless. It's dope nonetheless. All right. So, all right. We about to get off into this. You know, I'm sorry I'm late. All right. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I was a little late getting started. My baby girl knocked over my water machine, so I was a little, trying to scatter to get that all picked up and things and clean up water and everything. When you got children, you know how this is, man. So I apologize for being late, but children are children. But anyway, so yeah, I want to make sure American music, American indigenous music, our music is always the staple of my cast of Supreme American TV. I always want to make sure that always. That's why I play, those American, that American music from American artists, American indigenous artists. Ashford and Simpson, two American indigenous people, two bronze American indigenous people, two Americans. Lupe Fiasco, American indigenous, So shout out to them again. We're always going to be celebrating their music, and we're going to take our music as American indigenous people even further. So let's get off into this. In the name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord, in Amen we trust, in Amen we think, and in Amen we continue forward forever. Good evening, everyone. Everybody know who I am. I am the intellectual Lord Benjamin Manhattan. And this is Supreme American TV. Thank you, dear. My children running around, When you got a house full of children, you know how it is. But this is Supreme American TV, and tonight I'm going to be discussing this lovely wife. This title don't even go. Lovely wife. Hello. 1 second. The title. Huh? The title. Huh? Yeah, please. Tell Dad the title is wrong. Okay. I apparently have the wrong title up there. So I'm gonna go from what the title, Hold on 1 second, everyone. Just 1 second. I want to get that title fixed because it's really throwing me off. It's really throwing me off. Hold on 1 second. It's really throwing me off. Give me 1 second, everyone. This says Obama says every young boy gay. Yeah, the title is off. It says Obama says every young boy needs a gay mentor. That's not the cast.
I changed it on the YouTube channel.
It's not showing up there, and where I'm at in my. Okay, all right. So I got to look at it from the YouTube. I'm sorry. Okay, just fix it in the thing. All right. Things throw me off. Okay, 1 second. So the topic is: are Africans trying to replace so-called African Americans? That's the topic. Okay.
It's on there. It's just not showing up on your screen.
Yeah, well, when I can't see it from there, look again. All right, so.
It's correct.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. I just want to make sure I got that clear. So again, the topic is: are Africans trying to replace so-called African Americans? You know what I say to that? I say yes. I say yes to that, and I also say that's good. That's good. I hope Africans coming over from Africa into America do replace the people who are being called African Americans. Yes, I do, because that would be right. Because then that would force us to take our true space or our true place as American indigenous people, as American Indians or American indigenous people. Y'all follow what I'm saying? I think it's a good thing. Let all the Africans pour in here and be the immigrants that they really are. Let the Africans pour in. That's what I say. What y'all say in the chat? I think it's a good thing. I think they should try and replace or take that title of African American on. Yes, yes. Let them come in. Let them become the African Americans, because that would be right. That would be right. They are the African Americans. They are immigrants to this land, just like the Europeans, like their European brothers and sisters. Let them go ahead and be let them come in and apply and be African Americans. You see, let the real African Americans come here so they can stop hanging that label on us, the real American Indians, the real American indigenous people, because you can't call them African American, which is what they're going to be forced to have to do, and then call us African American, because we know that's not the truth. We know that's not the truth. We know we're not African Americans. No, we are not. We are not African Americans, and we're not and we're not Africans from the diaspora or no African slave trade. All that is a bunch of nonsense. So again, let the real African immigrants be African Americans. Let them be the African Americans. Let them be the African Americans. Is that working? Yeah. I'm gonna get another one. So send for another one. Yeah, she knocked it down. So excuse me about the water machine. So everybody gets from my water machine. I'm gonna have to order one for them all. Yeah. It's on and off. It works on and off. It's a short somewhere. I'm thinking so. I'm telling my wife that there's a short in the water machine. Yeah. But anyway, so my thing is, we need to only identify as American indigenous people. That's it. In fact, I'll say it like this: North American indigenous or North American Indians, because I'm going to start referring to our people as North American Indians, because that's what we really are. Not no African Americans, North American Indians. And again, or I'll just say American, or just say American. But we know we the real, us here in America who are falsely being called African Americans, we know we the real North American Indians. That's all. That's it. And we're not going to go up under African American when the real African Americans are going to show up. The real African Americans are showing up from Nigeria, from Ghana, from all them places where they was born at. Let them be the Africans coming into America. Let them be the African immigrants. Now, that's not to say that our people are not. We got American indigenous people all over the world. We got a lot of people all over the world. But I'm talking about the real Africa, because you got Africa got their own. Africa has its own group of people, their own tribal group of people. They have their certain looks, things like that. Like Tariq Nasheed always pointing out the foreheads and the hairlines and stuff like that. But some clown tried to say I was African. I got a full hairline, American indigenous hairline, full North American indigenous hairline. No spray-ins or none of this other stuff. All full. All mine. But anyway, so I'm saying this because you got people out here who keep wanting to align us with the whole African American thing, or just being African, right? And in them doing that, it's like we doing a disservice to who we are as American indigenous people. It's like we leaving a whole culture, a whole history that has been hidden. I'm talking about a whole history in here, pre-colonial America, pre-colonial, before these Europeans start making their way over here into America and coming upon the American indigenous people, us, coming upon us, invading our lands and whatnot, coming into America, the real American Indians, our people. The real American Indians who came here as the Mesoamericans, as the real Mesoamericans, as the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan, all same people came from South and Central America into North America. The first people to come from one part of America, one part of the continent of South America, and coming into Central America, and we came into North America and occupied this continent as the first people. Nobody's going to be found here that's older than our people in America. But they want to lie and claim that other people was here before us. But we already know that's a lie. That's already been debunked already. Those people who call themselves Native Americans, the Caucasians and Asians, the people who call themselves Native Americans, that they are not indigenous to America. They are Caucasians and Asians. But we already discussed that already. So let them be Native Americans. Let the Africans come in here, be African Americans, and let the American indigenous people, the real Americans, be Americans, meaning us. So I think it all falls into alignment. You see? All right. Yeah, he do got a Caribbean hairline, right? He probably got some African mixed in him. You see? Right? So exactly. So let the so-called Africans occupy their space and let us take our space as American Indians. As American indigenous people, as I say, American indigenous people, or just Americans. You see, I like American indigenous. I like the AI community. I like that. You see, I like the the American indigenous community, the real American community. We are original Americans. You see, original Americans. You see, so in knowing that we are the real Americans, the authentic Americans, the original indigenous Americans, in the fact that we know that, that's all we should be embracing. Not black no more, not African American no more. None of that, man. None of that. None. No. And like I said, this was always going to separate us anyway. Because no matter who comes here, the Africans, the Caribbeans, or even though the Caribbeans are people, you know, they from the different parts of America. A lot of African got mixed in with them, but that's another story. But one thing I'll say is that, you know, our culture, our American culture, because that's what it is. It's American culture. Our American culture can't be duplicated by anyone else. Our American culture cannot be duplicated by anyone else. I don't care if it's Africans coming here, like your Akon's, right? Now he's African. Akon's African. He's straight up African, right? And you got a lot of people like those Akon, Manute Bol, Alec Weck. Those are Africans. Those are real Africans. You can't mistake them for American indigenous people. You cannot. There's no way you're going to mistake them. Anybody who got eyes can tell we different from those are real Africans. Okay. Akon had a hair transplant, you know, to get an American indigenous hairline, because, you know, a lot of these so-called Africans coming over here, they coming over here as African Americans, and they're going to try and, you know, replace the people who were formerly called African American. And like I said, we should be formally calling ourselves African Americans now that the real African Americans are showing up. Elon Musk, he's an African American, because I told you all of that's one, like all those continents are tied together. Africa, Asia, Europe are all tied together. That's all really one gigantic landmass, man. It was only these Europeans, the ones that started breaking them up into different sections, but that's all really one landmass, man. Africa, Asia, and Europe is one big mega continent, because again, continents are based on separation of landmass and water. Now, like you said before, if you look at the map of Africa, Asia, and Europe, you can literally go from Africa through Asia into Europe, right, on land. So that means it's connected. The land connects those masses. You see? All right? That's all one land. And let me tell you something. A lot of those Africans, right, who ended up in Europe, a lot of those people who ended up in Europe, it was easy for the Africans. A lot of them were brought over by the Caucasians and into Europe. And a lot of them was over there. So, because again, you can travel from Africa to Europe through Asia, all them places, and they was the first ones to set up shop over there in Europe and Asia. And then from them, the artificial versions came, your so-called human race, your artificial versions came out of them. All right. So now today, like our slot of who we are as American indigenous people, our what I want to say, our nationality, if you want to say, our nationality is open now. Because we're not going to share African American with the Africans that are actually coming over here, the actual immigrants that are making their way over to America. We would sound stupid to do that. It would sound stupid to call Akon an African American and me an African American. He can't be African American and I'm African American the same way. It can't be the same thing. So that distinction, that national distinction, or that immigrant distinction, fits an Akon, fits a Elon Musk. Though that African American fits them as immigrants of Africa. We've never been to Africa. We don't have. It's no proof that we've ever been in Africa. That's a lie. All we already debunked that whole lie that all life started in Africa and we all come out of Africa. That's a lie, man. I don't care. Like I told you, I broke it down logically how that can't even be true. I broke that down. I said, and I quote, in 1 second, you could break that down through logical and rational thinking. Menlect. And hey, let me tell y'all something. I'm about to start doing conferences in Atlanta for the next year, 2026. Every 3 months, I'm going to start in March. We're going to have a conference. Menlect Reloaded is coming. The conference, ROA presents Menlect Reloaded, the next chapter. I'm about to drop a lot of next things. So it's coming, to raise the minds of the future Americans everywhere. So Menlect Reloaded, ROA presents, all coming in March 2026. So look out for that. The Lord Intellectual is forward again. I don't want to say back, forward again. But anyway, so if these people want to, come here as African Americans, let them. They can never copy our culture, our music and things like that, because there's a reason why our music, our influence is global. Our music, our influence is global. You can go anywhere around the world and you'll see people trying to act like us in some way, shape, or form, listening to our music. You see, loving our music, even the old stuff. That's why we have to continue on with music, because we influence the world through music, through dance, through everything. So that's all American culture. And that's our culture. Our culture is American culture. Our culture is American culture. There's no other culture here in America, American culture, but us. You start to point out what makes up culture, what denotes culture. You start to point that out. Dance, language, music, food, all these things denote culture. We have all of that. We have all of that as so-called Black Americans, aka American indigenous people, aka the real Americans, the real American indigenous people, the real Americans. That the culture of America is our culture, not Native Americans, because again, it's funny how they claim they've been here all this time, yet their culture has no impact on America whatsoever. Their culture is confined to the reservations. Their Native American culture is confined to their reservations. You don't know a goddamn thing about their culture because they're not the premier culture. They're not the premier foundation of America. We are. That's why our culture rules America. Does that not make sense? Our culture, our music, our dance, everything rules America. We are the American culture. The Caucasians, the Caucasians, the Europeans, they're the U.S. government. Yeah, they're the U.S. government, but they're not the American culture. We are. Y'all follow that? We, the American culture, they're the U.S. government. There's government and there's culture. The culture is from the indigenous people. The government is outside. That's an outside government. You see, that's an outside government. The U.S. is an outside government. That's not an American government. It's not. And they know that. And I'm not saying anything that's, that's just outrageous. That's the truth. George Washington and were Europeans. They're not Americans. No white person can be called American because they come from Europe. We can't pick up and go over we can't pick up and go over to a whole nother continent and say like I said, I can't go to Italy and say I'm Italian. I can't go to China and say I'm Chinese, no matter how long I lived there. So how is it that Europeans, white people, could pick up from Europe and come over here and call themselves American when it tells you in the 1828 Merriam-Webster dictionary who the original Americans are? The original Americans are still here. So you calling yourself American is illegitimate because the original Americans are still here. Now, if we were no longer here and y'all came here as white people and y'all built up the country and y'all did it yourself and you didn't have to have slave labor and none of that stuff, then you could clearly say this is a white country. You could say America is a white country. If you came here, found nobody here, and y'all just start building up stuff yourself without the help of any slave labor or anything else, then you could truly call this a white country. You could say that Americans are white, but that didn't happen. Now, did it? That didn't happen. Now, did it? It didn't happen like that. You came into America and you enslaved the indigenous American people, the people that were here before you, the Caucasians, the Asians that came over here as Native Americans, the people who were always here and watched y'all come was us, the real American Indians, the real American indigenous people. We watched everybody come here, from the Europeans, everything. And they got all of that stuff in records, how the first American Indians look. They got look up the first picture of the American Indian that they drew themselves, or they painted themselves, because there was no cameras back then. Look up the first picture. This brother had it on his channel. This is straight up bronze dude, man, so-called black man, who he would be called a black man today. So-called bronze man with long hair, and it's not that straight hair. He's not a mongoloid. He don't look mongoloid, because I know a lot of y'all sit up here and say, oh, the Blasians, because that's what they are, the Blasians, the dark skin with the slanted eyes and the straight hair. Those are mixed Indians. Those are all mixed race Indians. The real American indigenous people look like me. The real American indigenous people, the real American Indians look like me. We are the Mesoamerican blood. We are the Olmecs, the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan, because I told you before, the first people into America were the Mayans and the Aztecs. Those were the first people here. And from them came all the American indigenous tribes. And they spread out all over the place. They were spreading out everywhere. You see, that's all the people of those great society, civilizations of the Mesoamerica. They started spreading out after those civilizations broke up, and they came into all parts of America. They spread out into South and Central America. They came into North America, and that's where American civilization started. It didn't start with George Washington. It didn't start with none of these Europeans that came over here. They came into a civilization that was already built. There was already roads made already. There was already people riding horses already. Us, nobody else. It was us. And of course, you had your Indians that lived out on the plains, the ones who didn't have they lived in tents. We didn't live in no tents, man. You had the Native Americans, they lived in tents. We lived in homes. They found mound communities and things like that. Places they done buried over, mound communities. All this stuff, man, it can be verified. All can be verified who the real American Indians are. So with all that knowledge that needs to come forward, all that knowledge that needs to be known, like what I'm sharing, that can only come forward and can be only accepted by people who have stopped calling themselves African Americans. Stop calling yourself African Americans. You are not African Americans. You are not foundational Black Americans. Again, all that black stuff come from Caucasians, come from racist Caucasians, man. All that black stuff come from racist Caucasians who wanted to maintain the status quo between white and black. Black is the indigenous and white is the immigrants. And on top of the indigenous will be the immigrants. Thus the term black and white. Those are code words, man. Those are code words. Black and white is code words created by these Europeans. created by these Europeans, so they knew that a James Jones, who is the white James Jones and who's the black James Jones. That's how they would know, so they wouldn't be giving out benefits, because most of their correspondence with the people was through the mail. So if most of their correspondence is through the mail with the people, you could be sending out checks and letters, all kinds of stuff to people, and next thing you know, you sending it out to people who you don't really want to have it. Next thing that they have it because you're looking for James Jones, because everybody got the same names and whatnot. So the next thing you know, so how do you distinguish between the indigenous James Jones, the bronze man, and the immigrant Caucasian invader, the colonizer that came? And how do you distinguish? You call one black, you call one white. That's how you do that. You call one black, you call one white. You see? So I think it's a good thing that the African Americans come here, that the Africans come here and they identify, excuse me, and the Africans should come here and identify as African Americans. Yeah, the Africans, you Nigerians, you Ghanaians, wherever you coming from, y'all should come over here and identify as African American. But then you got a lot of them who come over here and identify as white. You know, let that sink in. A lot of them come over here and identify as white. And again, by us calling ourselves African American, we are erasing the whole history of our ancestors, man. Don't you know that we are erasing the history of our ancestors by calling ourselves African Americans? We're literally just you know, we're not even looking to that. That history is gone, because we're taught as African Americans, as black people, with foundational black Americans, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to remix it as. We always taught that we came here on slave ships from Africa. We always taught that same thing, that we got here somehow, that our life started in Africa. Because even if you don't believe the African slave ship story, y'all still ignorantly believe that all life started in Africa, that all people that look like us with dark skin and woolly hair, that we from Africa somewhere, that we have some kind of African connection. And that's a lie. That is a lie. Remember I said, if these archaeologists and all these other people who claim that all life started in Africa, and that so-called black people come from Africa and whatever the case is and blah, 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 if that's true, then I tell you what, that means you combed every square inch of the earth. You looked in every nook and cranny of the earth for fossils, for bones, fragments, and DNA and genetic material. You combed every inch of the earth for you to end up saying that all life started in Africa. That's what that would have to mean. Don't y'all understand that? You understand? They would have to have combed every square inch of Africa. I mean, of the planet, not Africa, of the whole planet, because you're saying that all life started in Africa. So what you mean is you are negating any other part of the planet. If you are negating any other part of the planet and you say all life started in Africa, then that means you comb every square inch of the planet Earth. But you know that's a damn lie. They did not. They did not. They did not comb every square inch of the planet Earth to come up with that answer that all life. They just making up stuff. That's a lie. Just like the whole nonsense now that our people was Neanderthals and whatnot, and the video I just did, you know, just a bunch of lies, you know. So you gotta figure that, you know, thanking people, because that's who I want to, you know, consume my content. The thinkers, I want the thinkers to consume my content. I don't want the believers to consume my content. I want the thinkers to consume my content. See, we are the next level here. This is a space for those who are on the next level mentally. This is Menlect Reloaded. This is Menlect Reloaded. Supreme American TV is backed up by Menlect. You know, this is still Menlect, but it is Menlect in the right context, because Menlect, when I presented Menlect back in 2010 to the world, a word that came through me, a word that I, by the way, own the rights to in video form. You look it up on the USPT. I own the rights to the word Menlect. I ain't like Tariq Nasheed. I don't sit up and act like I didn't create the word, or the word I should say didn't come through me. that, it's my personal, because Tariq she owned the right to FBA and all this other stuff. So because he created the word FBA, Menlect, you say, came through me. So therefore, when I produce it, it becomes my creation. Let me explain what I mean by that. When you produce something, because you got two levels of creation, meaning things are that you put together, right, to make something else. And then you got knowledge or intelligence that you bring through from the mental into physical form, and you start to create that. Right? Like you might get a thought for something in your head, like how Menlect came to me, and I had to make it physical. I had to make it flesh. I had to say the word Menlect. It wasn't that it came from me, it came through me, and I presented it to the world. So therefore it became my creation because I made it flesh. Y'all follow what I'm saying? Y'all follow what I'm saying? I presented Menlect from a fourth dimensional mindset, a fourth dimensional connection, so that our people can see the completion of a lot of things that are presented to us that have no real completion point. All we get is complexities and not completions. We get a bunch of complexities. We get a whole bunch of complex, questions and things like that, but never no answers, no completion to our questions. So Menlect brought completion. Menlect brought completion to a lot of unanswered questions. Where the human race came from, where we come from, how did we get here, what is our purpose, where's the world headed to? I brought answers to all of that through Menlect. Where is the earth round or flat or whatever? I said, no, the earth is square. And I proved that the earth is square because the earth is measured in square miles. How the hell could the earth be anything but square? If it's measured in square miles, it can't be circular because you can't measure a circle because circles have no points. A circle is not 360 degrees. The circle sums up to nothing. The circle is nothing. That's an illusion that a circle measures up to 360 degrees because there's no point in the circle. See, I taught all that by way of Menlect. See, they lied to you about the circle. I taught all that came through Menlect, and so much more is coming through Menlect. Menlect Reloaded. Come check us out in Atlanta. I'm going to be having class. We're going to start taking, we're going to start taking reservations in advance for that class in the March 2026. And of course, we got the street festival coming, American Indigenous Street Music Festival. Big city block party. All that's coming. And 2026, that's going to be in May, and I'm going to be doing class March in Atlanta. For the thinkers, the people who think they know, and the people who want to joust with me a little bit on intellect. A little jousting, a little intellectual jousting. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with a little bit of intellectual jousting and whatnot. So that I have no problem with proving who I am. And explaining the real continuous and constantly unfolding projection of which is Menlect. So we reloaded. But again, all things must be put in proper perspective. All things must be put in proper perspective. We as American Indigenous people is the proper perspective and the proper title and identity for our true nationality. That is the true history of our people as American Indigenous peoples. Falsely, they call us American Indians, right? Which is another way of really saying American Indigenous people. Americans, the Americans. In the 1828 Merriam-Webster dictionary, we're described as the Americans. They didn't even use Indians there. They just used straight up Americans. I find that strange. The Americans. You see, they didn't say American Indian. They just really knew us as Americans. And that hasn't changed. And so if people have to come in to fill a slot, because that's another thing. We even made being African American popular. We made that be made African American popular, because if you got the Africans who are willing to come over here, right, and virtually take the title of African American from us, because that's what they're doing. We cannot share African American with immigrants when we're not immigrants. We can't. It don't fit us. We can't share the title African American with actual African immigrants. It doesn't fit. Like they used to say, OJ, if it don't fit, you gotta quit. You gotta let it go. It don't fit us. African American don't fit our struggle here in this country. African American don't fit our back and forth, our history here, the turmoil, the death, all the things we've been through here with these Europeans here, these Caucasians. African American don't fit that. What fits that narrative, what fits that actual piece of history, the hell we went through here in the North America, is us as American Indians. That makes all the sense in the world. Because I remember a time that this country hated the American Indian. This country hated American Indians. They love Native Americans, but they hated American Indians. Okay. You go back and look, if you go back in the older movies and stuff like that, you'll see that these Caucasians had hate for the Indians. They had hate for the Indians. And the Indians they had hate for was the dark-skinned ones. Us, the dark-skinned ones, the niggers. You see, those are the Indians they had hate for. See, if you was able to, with them, because we was trying to go along, we started letting go of a lot of our indigenous customs and things like that, and we started trying to be more like dare I say, more like the Europeans and whatnot, in certain aspects, and with our own American culture mixed into, certain ways we dressed and whatnot. It was a lot of our American culture that was mixed into, that was evolving. So our men cut their hair, we cut our hair, or we put on suits and things like that. That was the fashion. We put on suits, and we were, building, and we were landowners and whatnot. We were paying taxes, all this stuff. That's how they started bringing us along in their system. That's how the Europeans started to bring us, the American Indians, along in their system, by taxing us, right? Or running us off the land if we didn't do business with them. Because the reason why we had so much land back in the 1800s and stuff like that, the narrative that we are American Indians fits that narrative. Because I remember I said we own 20 million acres of farmland. Bronze indigenous people own 20 million acres of farmland. That narrative does not fit Africans, because how would Africans know how to even work this land? A lot of this stuff in their land, they starving. A lot of this stuff over there, they can't even grow in their land. They can't even grow a lot of stuff. A lot of their land is barren. That's why a lot of them are starving. They got diets that are very limited. Whereas here in the Americas, like I said, we got a very vast diet. We got a very vast diet of different foods and things like that. And we knew how to harvest and grow that food from the earth. We know how to get it from the soil. We knew how to get it all from the soil. We knew how to hunt. We knew how to do it. That used to be our thing. We used to hunt wild turkeys, and buffalo. That was us. Fish. That was all us. We were the first outdoorsmen. We were the first outdoorsmen. Now they'll show you the outdoorsman is the so-called white man. He's going out there camping and fishing and hunting and whatnot. We did that first, man. We did that. That's how we ate. It wasn't no damn supermarkets, and they wasn't feeding us. How was we eating before slavery? Good. We were eating good before slavery, because we started eating bad during slavery, because they made us hunt for them and give them the best food. They gave you garbage to eat. They gave you pig to eat. And now you think that's part of some soul food cuisine. No, that's some filthy, funky slave food they gave our people who was in slavery, because they didn't want you to have no chicken. They didn't want you, because we didn't even eat pork. American Indians did not eat pork because there were no pigs here in America. The white man brought pigs into America. The Spanish, they brought pigs. When they was coming on boats and stuff like that, they was bringing pigs and having piglets and all this stuff like that. They raised pigs over here. There was no pigs in America. They brought their food source. That's why they eat pork to this day. They pork lovers. The Europeans are pork lovers. They brought the swine over here for our people to consume. The American indigenous people, we ate clean, man. We ate bison, we ate turkey, we ate buffalo. You see, I said buffalo, buffalo fish, and bison, turkey, and fish, and all kinds of vegetables and things like that. You know. Anyway, so yeah, I was going to touch on this topic with Barack Obama. Y'all heard about this thing with Barack Obama where they saying that he need that young boys. Y'all heard about what it was? Is that true? That I see. I didn't really want to touch on it because I didn't know how true it was. I heard some of what he said, and that was going to be the original top. That's why I was a little bit of confusion in the beginning of the pod, of this cast, because I was going to discuss the whole thing of Barack Obama saying that young boys need to need gay older men to mentor to them or talk to them or some business like that. Y'all heard about that? Y'all heard about that? Did y'all hear about that? Yeah, and I'm gonna discuss that too. The American Indians, the real American indigenous people, they practice polygamy. The men had 2 wives and 3 wives. They had that. The American indigenous people practice that. That's why bronze men was doing that even after we stopped referring to it. We were still carrying it on. But that's another thing. I'll pick up on that. But yeah, our people ate clean, man. But did y'all hear about that Barack Obama thing? You see? Yeah. Barack Obama, he said that young boys need a older man, gay man to, I guess, mentor, because he told this story about him being in college and one of his professors. I was just going to do a separate thing, and I still might talk a little more, but who knows? But because it's here and there, like a lot of people, I noticed they're not talking on it, but it just seemed like to me he's trying to promote something. That's all. He's just trying to promote an agenda. That's all. Because when Barack Obama was saying so, he said it, it was like somebody told him to say that. You know. And honestly, I don't know why people get mad at Barack Obama. You know how these niggas get mad at Barack Obama for not doing nothing for so-called black Americans. Why? I don't know why they got mad. Listen, man, that position of president is a token position. That's a puppet position, man. That is a puppet position for people who really control everything from behind the scenes, man. There's no power in being a president. The power is behind the presidential seat. The power is behind that. That is the people who select you to be president, the people who tell you what the taxes are going to be, how much this is going to be done, what laws are going to, they tell you that. They got representatives. The power is not in Senate. It's not in Congress. It's not the presidency. It's the people that make the president or elect the president, just like the people who select. They select the Congress people. They select the senators. You ain't got no, listen, man, you ain't got no choice over these people that's in your face as politicians. These people are thoroughly vetted, and they are allowed to run and make it appear as though there's an election taking place and that you are a participant in this election and that you have say-so in these political figures that are being pushed in front. You ain't got no, man, go ahead with that. You ain't got no say in that. None. You have no say in that at all. I hate to shatter the illusion, because like I said, I can't take a lot of these niggas seriously when they start talking about, yeah, I'm withhold my vote. Like they'll be talking good until they say things like, yeah, well, that's why I'm not voting. So what? You think they care about your vote? You think they care? So what? That your vote don't mean nothing. I told you the vote is only only reason why they allow you to vote, because it's the illusion. It's the illusion that your vote counts, that you have say in the society, because they know when the people feel as though they have no say in society and that rules and laws are being thrust upon them and they have no kind of recourse, like you just can't, nothing you can do. When people feel like that, people crash out, man. When people feel like they're contained, they trapped by these laws and why I gotta find. When people feel like that, these are the people who will crash out. These are the people who will start revolutions and try to tear up stuff. That's the people who will do that. So how to calm these people down, how to sedate these people mentally is you let them think that, yeah, your vote count, your vote means everything. You know, your voice counts. No, it don't. No, it don't. I'm sorry to disappoint y'all. That's a lie. We're not gonna bullshit you here. We're not gonna bullshit you here. I'm not gonna lie to you. No, so I ain't cursed. I said we ain't gonna bullshit you here. We ain't gonna bullshit you. We ain't gonna sit up here and claim black, first black, and then start tomorrow. Yeah, our vote, your vote don't mean nothing, man. Well, the Black Authority said it best. I'll say it like this. He said they want you to vote because the people who vote are people who don't vote are people who are in revolt. In other words, if you're not voting, it's like you've lost faith in the system. And when you lose faith in the system, then people might just be like, man, F the system. And they just don't, like, they start crashing out, because you got a lot of crash outs out here, man. When they lose hope in the system, when they say, oh man, it's all corrupt, you know, I ain't that, it's over, man. They're gonna crash out. You see? All right. You see? You say, mentor, you're being tortured by a man. No, I don't know what that means, but okay. I'm not, you know. Okay, I don't know. I guess that was the Barack Obama thing. I don't know. But yeah, so with that Barack Obama thing, you know, I don't understand why people expected anything from him. He can't do nothing other than what those people behind the scenes put him in the office to do, which is do what they tell him, or else, you know what happened to him. Just like what happened to Kennedy, just like what happened to Lincoln. Those are the people that run the society, run the government. Those are the people who they work for. The president is only a figurehead. He can't do nothing for you. So Barack Obama knew that. He wasn't trying to step out of place, because, if he did, he wouldn't be here talking or promoting homosexuality or some. I saw the speech with him. I don't know if he was like, he tried to do like Barack Obama tried to do like a sleight of hand. Like, he tried to make up this story about him being in college and him saying, because I'm like, why would you say something like that? Why of all the things, why would you, talk about gay men and young boys and whatnot? What is a gay older man going to teach a young boy? Like, what is he going to teach him? It just seemed like, you trying to promote a certain way of thinking. Because I'm going to just be honest with you, a lot of these old, wealthy, pale people, and you got the black, it's a lot of old pedos and weirdos and freakos out here who would like to have a society of young boys to choose from. So why not use somebody who may be part of their community? I don't know, allegedly it might be part of that, or that get down there, or that LXB, XGXT, LGBTX, XYZ, the people that is with all of those, sexual forms of degeneracy, or whatever that, whatever they perplexed by, whatever spirit is on them. The people who are caught up in that mindset, like I said, those are the people who 9 times out of 10 yank the politicians' chains. Hell, politicians, a lot of them are like that. A lot of them are a bunch of damn freaks. You see, a lot of them are a bunch of damn weirdos, sexual deviants, perverts. A lot of them are like that. And this is Judgment Day. And let me say something about that too. I told y'all a long time ago that whatever you did behind the scenes with these Europeans, whatever you did, whatever freaked off stuff, freak offs, whatever you go, like with Diddy going through, whatever you've done with these people, they're going to force it out into the light. That's going to come out into the light. All right. They're going to bring it to the light. They're going to expose you, man. They're going to expose you, and they're going to make you do things to advocate that way of life. Because if you don't, they're going to out you as, that you took part in their lifestyle. So when you see a lot of these so-called black actors and entertainment celebrities coming out and when you see them coming out in defense of or in support of, LGBT, XYZ, Q, XY, whatever, when you see them doing all of that, They're doing that because they have to do that. They're beholden to the people behind the scenes who are like that, who support that sexual way of life or way of existence, whatever you want to call it. They are beholden to those people, and they have to. They partake in a lot of that stuff with those people. That's their way. You see, that's their way. So let's see what time. So, you're doing what you got to do for for the people. Again, them people. Remember they had Will Smith up there. He had Will Smith up there. He kept kissing his son in the mouth. Was that an agenda? Was he trying to promote something? Is Barack Obama trying to promote something? Because who says that? People don't say stuff for no reason. And boy, did he look uncomfortable trying to say that. So, a lot of them people like to remain behind the scenes, man. A lot of them people would like to remain in the closet. And again, the fact that a lot of these people won't come out and say that they homosexual, that's because they're ashamed. They're ashamed. They're afraid of how people are gonna look at them. A lot of actors and entertainers and whatnot who won't just come out and say they with that is because they feel ashamed of that. But they got to be used and blackmailed into into supporting things that they may not feel comfortable supporting. But that's it. That's all I got to say on that. So those are my thoughts on that. I touched on the Barack Obama thing, and I'm glad everybody showed. It's an Oxnard. I'm wearing the Oxnard. I'm promoting these people, man. Oxnard, they got some lovely shirts, man. So shout out to them. But that's it. I'm about to close this out. Again, I'm going to be doing Menlect Reloaded, the next chapter. Always presents the next level of intellect, the next level of higher intelligence. Logically and rationally, no spooky out there, just real things that we can grasp. Things on a higher level, on an extraordinary level that's right around us, that's around us in this day and time, things that we can grasp and pull ourselves toward. So look out for that. Check out Sister Enra Vanzetta's American Indigenous TV. She's very good. Check out all the American Indigenous content creators. Check them all out. Check out my Menlect Patreon. Those of you who have been subscribing to my Menlect Patreon, shout out to you. Menlect Patreon, look in the link below. That's why I do my nightly cast. After this, I got to do my nightly cast from 10:30 to 12:30. So those casts go on the Patreon. That's the raw and uncut stuff that I cannot do on YouTube. Knowledge I could drop on YouTube for days, but they won't let me. So, I got a shadow ban on my channel. That's why my channel is growing slowly, but I ain't stressing it. I ain't looking for no money from them. So it ain't about that. But anyway, so check out my Menlect Patreon. I'd rather you support my Menlect Patreon, become a patron for $15 a month. Hear me drop knowledge on the most in-depth, yet mentally advanced things, so that I could pull my people to a next level of thinking for American Indigenous peoples everywhere, because we are the alpha people. The Americans, the real American Indigenous people, are the alpha people because our culture dominates the world. Our American Indigenous culture, soul culture, it dominates the world. So that's all. I'm about to and also get ready. We got to start the one last thing. We're about to start the Pass the Hat again. I want to start next month or within the next week. We want to start collecting early, even though it's in May. We want to start the fund going, the crowd fund and whatnot for the next American Indigenous Street Music Festival, aka the Big City Block Party. You're saying it's going to be doing much bigger the second time around, 2026, May 2026. So it's going to be right at the same place. So we're going to start crowdfunding and raising money for that, because we want our American Indigenous peoples out there to support this. Every year we should be supporting this. Same way the Italians support San Gennaro Festival, the Irish support St. Patrick's Day. We as Americans, real American Indigenous people, should be supporting the American Indigenous Street Music Festival and bringing our families out and showing who the real proud Americans are. That's what we should be definitely doing. So, and we're going to do that. So get ready for me to pass the hat again, because we got to give it. I'm going to be constantly giving it up for that, because that's what we need to grasp as Americans, real Americans, original Americans. And that's it. So I'm about to close this out. In the name of Amen, by the power of Amen, and Amen we trust, and Amen we thank, and in Amen we continue forward forever. I am the intellectual Lord Benjamin Manhattan. This has been Supreme American TV. I'll see you guys back here. I'm going to drop a bunch of audios. I'm going to be back on here probably sometime like Sunday. Might just pop on and whatnot and touch on the topic. But yeah, that's it. That's all. What I want to close out with. Yeah. A little Lolita. Good night.